Okay, so we are going from genes to genius. We're going to be talking about boosting hormones, shedding pounds, and how to sharpen your mind. As I said, we're going to try to make a really complicated topic and break it down. And we're only going to talk about a few pathways here. But to introduce myself, my name is Lisamarie Pietragallo. I'm a board-certified family nurse practitioner, and I specialize in functional medicine. Have a big focus on hormone balance and gut health. But if you're not familiar with functional medicine, our goal is to find the root cause of a problem and treat that rather than throwing medications and prescriptions onto a problem. We like to solve the problem. And everything we're talking about tonight is for educational purposes. Obviously, any questions, anything specific to you, I encourage you to talk to your healthcare provider or work with a functional medicine person, preferably me. All right, now we're going to talk about why genetics matter. So your genetics play a critical role in determining how your body functions on a daily basis. They influence everything from your hormones to your metabolism to your cognitive function. Your genes are basically your blueprint for how your body functions. And this is genetics. And genetics accounts for 5% of your health in general, your current health, your future health. The other 95% is determined by your lifestyle and your environmental choices. And that is called epigenetics. Now, we're going to talk about how your genes play a role in hormones, metabolism, and cognitive function. Now, there are numerous genetic tests out there. And as a healthcare provider, you've got to, pick and choose what you want and why you want to use them. So the reason I settled on the 3x4 genetic test is because genes are, there are numerous hundreds, thousands of genes, and they affect different pathways in your body. So, and the same gene can, the same gene can affect multiple pathways in your body. You'll hear me talk about, there's a lot of pathway they just cross over a whole lot. So this genetic test in particular, instead of looking at the individual genes, it looks at the genes, how they play together, so to speak. So it really, for you as a patient, so if I were the consumer looking at this test, this example right here of the pathway-based results, this is part of your report that you get. It's a 30+ page report, and you will be able to look at it and say, oh, okay, my methylation, my oxidative stress, my detoxification. And within that report, you're going to understand what the pathway is, not necessarily the specific gene, but going back to the gene that Pauline asked about at the beginning of this, that's a very specific gene that has a very specific job. But again, it works in a few different pathways. So depending on the impact of that gene on your health, it's going to play a different role in different areas. So that's why I settled on this test, because it's very user-friendly for the patient. And as the practitioner, I am able to not only look at the pathway and correlate that with issues you're currently having, or, sleep issues, workout issues, all of any concerns you might be having. I'll be able to look at that and help you more specifically. And then I can do a deep dive into individual genes, which is what I will be doing later on for Pauline. So now, let's get started. Although there is somebody here that I need to let in, I believe. I'm getting a message. Okay. So we're going to talk about hormone balance first. So hormones don't work alone. As I said, you've got metabolism, inflammation, and detoxification. They all play an important role in your hormone balance. So again, we're looking at 3 pathways in particular that have a key role. So when one of them is out of balance, you need to look at others. And again, I always talk about things like this, like if the foundation isn't stable, then the bottom falls out. So we need to have a stable foundation in order to have lasting results. And that is what we do in functional medicine. So your metabolism gives energy to glands like thyroid and adrenal glands to make the hormones. You then have your metabolism, you've got sensitivity to hormones. So when your metabolism works well, your cells can easily respond to hormones. Poor metabolism, however, can lead to insulin resistance, and that can throw off the other hormones. So a healthy metabolism helps regulate and clear hormones to keep everything balanced. Add to this the pathway of inflammation. Hormones can reduce inflammation. Chronic inflammation can slow down many of the certain hormones that the body makes. So it can raise cholesterol. Cholesterol is your stress hormone. High cholesterol levels can disrupt other hormones like estrogen and progesterone. This can in turn cause insulin resistance. Inflammation can also make the cells less sensitive to insulin, which can affect your blood sugar level and your hormone levels. In addition to this, inflammation can slow detoxification. And you'll hear me talk about detoxification a lot because it's super important in just about everything. Your liver detoxifies so many things in your body. It's the filtration system of your body. So you need to make sure you're detoxifying everything well, or that will throw off your hormone balance. It will cause hormone buildup, and it can also interfere with the conversion of hormones. So good detoxification keeps hormone levels balanced, helping the body clear out and properly convert hormones. Together with metabolism, inflammation, and detoxification, they are all key components to keeping a healthy hormone balance. So that's one of the reasons I love this test so much, because it allows you to look at your different systems. So even, you could kind of take a look at things and know where you need a little help. The hormones are chemical messengers that regulate many bodily functions, including energy, mood, and reproduction. So your genetic makeup influences how much or how little hormone your body produces, how it breaks them down, and how they're detoxified. So these right here are just most of the genes that deal with hormone balance. So when we're looking at doing a deep dive into these specific genes, we can literally pull out a gene, and we'll talk about some of the key genes that we look at for some of the general problems. So for example, thyroid. You've got a lot of roles with thyroid imbalance, and thyroid imbalance can cause a whole lot of problems. The thyroid gland, it's an important part of your body that makes hormones. It mainly makes T3 and T4. And now these hormones are the hormones that control your metabolism. That's how your body turns food into energy. When your thyroid doesn't make enough of the hormones, that is hypothyroidism. Now, going back to inflammation, and that's why it's important to look at these pathways together, because if you've got some low-grade inflammation brewing, it can cause autoimmune disorders such as Hashimoto's syndrome, and Graves' disease is also an autoimmune disease. So if you have hypothyroidism, you can gain weight or not lose weight easily. have mood disorders, sadness, anxiety. You can feel cold or hot. You can have extremes of anything. And this can also contribute to brain fog. You've got the genetic influence on the thyroid. So a lot of people, not a lot of people, but you can be genetically predisposed to autoimmune diseases as well. Thyroid problems can also affect other things like hormone balance, blood sugar and insulin levels, bone health, memory, and brain function. Now, two of the important genes are the DIO2 and the SULT1A1. They both help with the hormone function, or thyroid hormone function. DIO2 helps to convert T4, which is the inactive thyroid hormone, and it helps to convert that into T3. T3 is what your body can use for energy. So when we're looking at issues, what we call subclinical hypothyroid, that's why it's so important to look at T3 and T4, which you usually don't. A lot of PCPs, because insurance won't always pay for it. So very often they're only testing your thyroid function with a TSH, which is not really good because you're missing the actual thyroid hormone of the T4 and T3. And now the SULT1A1 is the gene that is important for detoxification. If you are not, again, detoxifying properly, you will have a buildup of spent hormones and they can become toxic. So when the thyroid isn't working well, it can lead to so many symptoms, as I mentioned above. And now another important role for hormones is the adrenal hormone. So adrenal hormones, everyone knows cortisol is the stress hormone. It helps regulate your metabolism and inflammation, and it's your body's response to stress. So when you have chronic fatigue, mood swings, difficulty sleeping, anxiety, and low energy levels, then it's probable that you've got some hormone dysregulation going on. And this brings up, especially I believe it should always be mental health awareness. But when people think, oh, I'm just stressed, it's, you think of it more of a mental thing, and you can be tough and to rise above the anxiety that you're feeling. Well, that isn't necessarily true, because your body is really reacting to the cortisol levels and trying to get some balance. And again, you can have a huge genetic influence in this. These can impact how your body regulates cortisol, how it produces cortisol, and how it clears cortisol. When you hear me talking about clearance, we're always going back to the detoxification process. So hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis is often referred to as the HPA axis, and that's what influences your stress response, cortisol levels, and affects your energy and mood. So again, you've got a genetic predisposition for how your body reacts to cortisol levels. Now, estrogen dominance is a huge issue for hormone imbalance, for infertility, and for some cancers. So estrogen dominance is an imbalance of estrogen levels, and when estrogen levels are relatively high, or your body is not clearing them properly. And we can get into a hormone conversation here pretty quickly, but again, it comes down to how your genes are predisposed. And once you know that, you can this is where we come up with hacks, the whole biohacks that people talk about now. So genetics can influence how your body, again, metabolizes, I feel like a broken record, metabolizes and detoxifies estrogen. Variations in these genes that we would be concerned about are the COMT, CYP1A1, and GST. And those three genes specifically affect estrogen breakdown. And if they're not working properly, or if you have a SNP or any kind of anomaly that makes them not work ideally, then they can directly relate to bone health, brain health, mood, and they can predispose you for some cancers, the estrogen cancers. And now when we talk about hormone balance, this is generally what everybody thinks of. Everybody thinks of, low testosterone, low, especially for women, perimenopause and menopause. You think about estrogen, progesterone. So these are the hormones that everybody is aware of. So testosterone is very important for muscle mass, energy, and mood in men and women. Symptoms of low testosterone are fatigue, depression, decreased muscle mass, low libido, and reduced motivation. You kind of just have that meh feeling. Again, genetic factors can affect testosterone production and receptor sensitivity. So every hormone has a receptor, and it's like a lock and a key. And they need to bind in order to be absorbed and work well. So your genes, like the SHBG, is a sex hormone binding globulin, and that gene specifically influences how much free testosterone you have available in your body to use. And now we're talking about metabolism, the process by which your body converts food into energy. You've got several genetic influences that are key. We've got fat storage breakdown. That's the FTO gene. And that is the first gene that was ever linked to obesity. It's found in the part of the brain that's called the hypothalamus, and that controls your hunger and your energy use. So when there's a certain change in the gene, it can lead to increased appetite. If you need to eat more, there, believe it or not, are people who you just have that insatiable feeling when you eat, and you will find that you do have that genetic predisposition. You just don't get that feeling of fullness. These people tend to have a higher BMI and at higher risk for diabetes for obvious reasons if you don't know and keep feeding that gene, so to speak. But this gene will also affect your hormones like leptin and ghrelin. And leptin and ghrelin are hormones that regulate hunger, and they help you know when you're full and when to stop eating. And then you have ADRB2, which helps regulate the fat breakdown. And this is specifically in response to exercise and stress. So it was pretty interesting because when I got my genetic test back, I was one of those people who thought I could exercise my way to losing weight. And as I got older and had put on some weight and did my best to get it off, I exercised more. Well, I got my genetic test back, and it told me that my body doesn't respond well to exercise. So it's kind of funny because since I changed my workout from heavy hit high intensity workouts, I changed it to walking, like a more peaceful kind of exercise, but enough to get my heart rate up. I've not had a problem losing weight. It's pretty funny when you it's kind of like you have the keys to figure out, all those little problems that you were having. So genetic differences can explain why some people struggle with weight loss, cravings, and even insulin resistance. So we're able to truly make a personalized approach to exercise, diet, and honestly, it can give you a plan for the future. Talked about the struggles of weight loss and how this can help so much. But we talk about insulin resistance a lot, and that has such a genetic influence. Insulin resistance is when the cells become less responsive to insulin. And this is the basis of poor cellular health. This is what, if you want to age, if you want to be healthy as you age, we really need to avoid this happening. And you kind of have the insulin resistance causes fatigue after meals, when you have that crash or when you have the sugar cravings, like you really, really need that 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock candy bar. And you have difficulty losing weight and low energy. Those are all signs that your cells are less sensitive to insulin and you have difficulty losing weight. genes like the TCF7L2 and the FTO, as we talked about, directly affect metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and glucose metabolism. So again, we kind of get to learn little hacks. So the APOA2 gene is a type of protein that's found in your good cholesterol. And it has a very important role in how your body handles fat. It can affect how full you feel after you eat and your risk of weight gain and how well your body responds to insulin. So a change in the APOA2 gene can make people more sensitive to fat in their diet. So, you can have a friend who eats all kinds of healthy fat, non-healthy fat, and they can be super skinny. And that's because of their genetic predisposition. So people with this gene type eat higher fat foods, and normal people who don't have this are gaining weight while they aren't. So there are so many genes that we could talk about. And like I said, I even am boring myself when I start rattling off these gene names. Now we're going to talk about cognitive function, because again, if you're noticing the overlap, there's a lot of overlap in the symptoms of pretty much everything we talked about: the hormone imbalance, the metabolism issues, and now we're going to be talking about cognitive function, and we're still going to be talking about the same brain fog, not necessarily difficulty losing weight, but insulin resistance and high glucose levels in your bloodstream play a huge role in your cognitive function and a clear mind and memory and all of that. So now we're going to talk about neurotransmitters. They're the chemical that send signals in the brain, helping us think, remember, feel emotions, and keeping them
my baby. You want to come on over
clear thinking.
here?
Hold on one second. I lost my whole Zoom. Okay, so we've got two examples of neurotransmitters: dopamine. And dopamine, we know that is our feel-good hormone, right? It plays a key role in reward, motivation, and pleasure. It also helps control movement, supports focus and memory. Then we have serotonin. Now, I will mention that serotonin, 90% of it is made in our gut. So this is where we, I again feel like a broken record. Everything is connected. So if one thing is out of balance, it's going to cause other things to be out of balance. So serotonin is the neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood, sleep, and appetite as well. It's associated with feelings of happiness, and it's important in managing anxiety and mood balance. And now we also have oxidative stress and inflammation, which causes damage to brain cells over time. It can slow down our thinking and lead to memory issues. So reducing oxidative stress helps protect brain cells, and it keeps the cognition sharp. And oxidative stress also goes back to detoxification as well. And then we have got neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, which is essential for learning, for remembering things, recovery, and recovering from brain injuries. And as we get older, we make less synapses in our brain. So in my opinion, it's really, really important to kind of keep that neuroplasticity flexible and healthy, just so we can keep our brain sharp. There are also several prescription medications that have a profound negative impact. And these include gabapentin, which is a very commonly prescribed prescription for neuropathy, which we see a lot of in diabetes, and prednisone and benzodiazepines, such as Xanax or Valium, things like that. So when you're looking to try to clear up a lot of these things that are going on, you definitely want to take a look in your medicine cabinet as well. Your medicine cabinet and your diet, two important things. So now we've got a few tips here. Going back to checking your medicine cabinet, when I was in internal medicine, I used to tell my patients when we were talking about medicine, they would complain if I told them they should lose weight and that would help their blood pressure, or that would help issues. I would say you pick your poison. You're either taking this medication that you don't want to take, or, you might have to give up the Mountain Dew or, the sodas all the time or something like that. Unfortunately, we can't have it all. So now a few tips to sharpen your mind. One, staying physically active. That increases blood flow and really literally keeps the juices flowing. Regular exercise boosts blood flow to the brain, which improves memory, focus, and overall cognitive function. So you think about it, when you increase your heart rate, that has more blood circulating, right? And what does our blood do? Our blood delivers nutrients and, very importantly, oxygen throughout your body. So if you exercise regularly, you're increasing that blood flow. So you're ultimately helping more oxygen come through your body. Quality sleep is huge. Good sleep is essential for memory consolidation and mental clarity. You really should aim for 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep each night. Try to have good sleep hygiene. Don't have anything interrupt you. Don't go to sleep with the TV on. That blue light is just not good. You need restful sleep, because when you sleep, your brain actually will get smaller in size, and it gets coated with all the cerebrospinal fluid, which helps it regenerate. So it's super important, and that happens during REM sleep. So that's really important to get good quality sleep. Next, we want to look at eating brain-boosting foods that are high in omega-3s, antioxidants, vitamins, fatty fish, leafy green vegetables, and berries. Berries are not only good for your brain health, but they're great anti-inflammatory foods. Second, you want to practice mindfulness. So often you hear people are great multitaskers. I'm guilty of that myself. But when you practice mindfulness and you focus on the task at hand, I often find that I'm more productive because I get more things finished, and it helps your stress level, which in turn, we already talked about the cortisol levels being elevated. So you want to kind of keep your mind clear. Going out in nature helps with that as well. Deep breathing, even for a minute, if you just close your eyes and do some breathing exercises, that will really help. And then you want to challenge your brain. Puzzles, Sudoku, anything like that, anything that's going to keep your mind active.
That's my baby.
Is fantastic.
That's my baby.
And now we are again talking about detoxification, which it's near and dear to me. We want to keep that liver clearing everything out. I always say that your liver it's just like it's your filtration system. Just like your furnace filter can get dirty after a winter of everything closed up, it clears out the dust and clears out all the particles. That's what your liver does in your body. So it is huge. And actually, I really think it's so important that you should be doing a detox at least twice a year. And I think we might even do that. If anybody's interested, it's a 2-week detox. Let's get livers healthy. Maybe we should do that before the holidays, actually, because the holidays, right? We have to get our liver ready for everything we're gonna eat and have a couple cocktails, I'm sure. So detoxification is essential for maintaining overall health. Removes toxins, waste. If you think about it, it's not just what you eat. Go outside, take a breath of what we hope is fresh air, but you don't know, did someone just have put fertilizer on their garden, in the air, whatever, the fumes. So we're inhaling it. And people also don't realize that your skin is your first line of defense. So you go outside and you're going to absorb that no matter what. So you can try to be as healthy as you want to, but we're exposed to toxins every day. And those are still toxins that our liver needs to get rid of. 5 tips for detoxification. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I recommend half your body weight in ounces of water every day. That helps your kidneys get flushed out. It is also the way if you're trying to lose weight, you're not going to do it if you're dehydrated. So water is your friend. Fiber-rich foods. So good fibers coming from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, in addition to helping detoxify the, sorry, I gotta let somebody in. Detoxifying the things in your body. Good fiber feeds your good bacteria in your gut. And we want to keep the good bacteria happy because they will keep the balance go, they'll keep the balance and keep the bad bacteria from overgrowing there. So super important. Foods that help you detoxify are cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, lemons, green tea. So that's, if you have some lemon water, that is a great detoxifier. Move daily. And there's a difference between movement and exercise. So, everyone talks about exercise like, oh, I'm going to the gym and I'm there for an hour and I'm doing all the things. Well, so many studies now are showing that it's more important to move than it is to exercise. So even if you get up, I know that if you have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or anything like that, they often have an alarm to remind you to stand up every hour. Well, that is backed by very good science. So that 10 minutes or even 5 minutes every hour, if you were to do that and even, go for a quick walk around the block or walk around your house in the winter even, all those minutes add up and you're better off moving throughout the day. Even if you do go to the gym for an hour and have a fantastic workout, if you sit the rest of the day, that's really defeating the whole purpose. So you want sustained movement throughout the day. And again, sleep. Sleep is super important for detoxification.
I love my little boy. I love my little boy.
So what questions can I ask? I did that pretty quickly. Any questions? Everyone's good. I'm back to I'm trying to catch up on the chat here. Yeah. All right. No one has any questions? Okay, then. Does that mean did I confuse everybody? So I'm offering, I have a genetic package, and for all of you that are on here, I am offering it 40% off for the next 3 days. And you will get the genetic test. And like I said, it's fantastic. It's a 32 page report that gives you great recommendations. It'll tell you what pathways are most impacted in you specifically, obviously. And you'll be able to see the pathways that are most affected in your body. It'll tell you, so specific, it'll tell you if you're sensitive to salt. It tells you a lot of in-depth information. So you'll get that, you'll get a 60-minute intake. You and I will sit down and we'll talk about any issues that you're currently having. If you're having trouble losing weight, difficulty sleeping, having, gut issues, anything that is going on right now. And then we'll talk about anything that you want to prevent. I know when you get to be a certain age, like I am very, interested in aging gracefully and keeping my mind. My last position, I did geriatric psychiatry in nursing homes. And I watched my mother with Alzheimer's and dementia, and I'd like to prevent that. So if you have any issues that you're worried about in the future, we'll talk about that. Once your test comes back, we'll sit down for 45 minutes and we'll talk about what your results mean. And we'll give you some strategies to work on what issues you're having and what you want to avoid. And then,
I have a question.
okay, please.
So, how do you convince your doctor that there's something wrong, such as Graves' disease or Hashimoto's, as opposed to menopause or postmenopause?
Okay, so that's not a tricky question, but we get it all the time. And this is the difference between traditional medicine and functional medicine. And honestly, one of the reasons I decided to just focus my practice on functional medicine, because in our insurance system, they're really focused on treating a disease and not preventing a disease. So that's the key difference in functional medicine and traditional medicine. And again, like I said, you can ask your doctor, your PCP, to get, the TSH, the T3, the T4. And that's one of the things. If you know what you're looking for, you can kind of help them in that direction. And the key is to have a good PCP that is willing to work with you. The problem is that working within that insurance traditional healthcare system, your hands are tied and you're limited a lot with what you can do, because again, insurance is dictating what they'll pay for and what they'll do. So that's the problem. I'm happy. I look over traditional labs a lot. And if you want, we can talk about this, more specifically off of this. But, and, again, traditional medicine is looking at normal lab values to prevent a disease. They're not looking to find your hypothyroidism before it affects your thyroid. Does that make sense?
Well, I had hypothyroid before, and I
Okay.
took medication, and
Okay.
then I stopped the medication. And now whenever they check the levels, I'm like right at the borderline. So they tell me, oh, you're fine. I'm like, how do you determine if somebody's right at the borderline that they're fine? Everybody's
Yeah.
body is different.
Yeah. And that's, again, in functional medicine, we look at optimal levels. So that's the key difference. They're looking at normal levels and we're looking at optimal levels, because we want to be firing on all cylinders, right? We don't want those nagging issues brewing.
Right.
So, and then this package, after we talk about the lifestyle changes that I would recommend, we'll have a follow-up to see how it's going. And as I said, for the next 3 days, we are doing that at 40% off for you. And we're also, I'll touch base here, little plug for we're going to do a 2-week Hack the Holidays challenge. We're going to do the 12 hacks of health myths, starting November 30th, going until December 12th, I think. So we're just going to do some hacks, find some workarounds, some healthy challenges, and maybe give you some tips to, miss the landmines of the holidays. That should be a fun little thing to make the holidays a little, give them a healthy outlook. So look for something in your inbox about that. I thank you all for spending Tuesday with me. And if you have any questions, you can always schedule a no-charge consult. I know right now I'm talking about the genetic package, but you're always welcome to schedule a free no-charge consult with me. And you'll get an email with the recording of tonight, and then there'll be a link in there if you want to schedule a no-charge consult. So Colleen, if you have any other questions or wanted me to look at your labs, we can talk about that then as well.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you all for coming. Any other questions or anything? Let me see if I can stop. There we go. All right. Anything else? I want to see if I missed anything in the chat. Well, thank you all. Okay. Well, you all have a great night. And let me know if reach out to me if you have any questions. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.